Hi, Namaste, and welcome to day 5 of our Vata season immersion. Congratulations if you made it to this day. I'm really excited today to show you a few Ayurvedic lifestyle suggestions for calming and soothing Vata. These have been absolutely just life-changing for me. So I'm very excited to share those, and I'd like to begin with just a little bit of a centering meditation where we'll explore some mudras, hasta mudras, and hasta means hand and mudra means gesture for the element of earth. So you might recognize some of these from the challenge. These have been brought in, some of them along the way. So there'll be a couple of different options, and you can just choose whichever feels right for you today. So the first one being Pran Mudra, which we explored on day 1. So the peace fingers draw away from each other, the pinkies, rings, and thumbs connect, and then you can ground these peace fingers down into the earth. You can even ground these points into the earth if that feels good as well. Some people call that Bu Mudra as well. My teacher taught it to me as Pran Mudra. And then also we have Prithvi Mudra, Prithvi meaning earth, and that is the ring finger. So connecting the ring finger to the thumb. You can do that on both sides if you like, just ring finger to thumb, very simple, and then you can just put that down into the lap in a comfortable position. And then one last option I'd like to share is Ganesha Mudra. Bringing the palms together, right hand, in front, and then you slide the fingertips along and then wrap them around each other, and then the thumbs come around. So we land with this mudra just sort of right in front of the belly, and this is to connect to the energy of Ganesha. And one of the reasons that Ganesha can be healing for Vata is that this energy really invokes this sort of earthy, stable. Ganesha, some of you might know, is an elephant. And so there's this steady, grounded, solid energy that comes, and really what he invokes is our ability to move through any challenge, the ability to move through anything. You might think of a solid, big, heavy, steady elephant and its ability to create a path through the thickest of jungles. It can just uproot trees and throw them to the side. So it's this sort of inner resiliency and strength and fortitude, grounded steadiness within our own selves. So that's a nice mudra to bring in as well for Vata, for calming Vata dosha. So choosing one of those mudras, Ganesha, Prithvi, the earth mudra, or Pran mudra. If you're doing the Pran mudra, you might root those fingertips down into the earth. And then let's close down through the eyes, mudra of your choice. And begin to just notice your breath here. Relaxing the jaw, parting the teeth. And begin to invite a long, steady inhale. Slow, effortless exhale. Lengthening the inhale. Lengthening the exhale. Allowing the mind to start to calm and relax from the world of thinking. And you're just tuning into this steady rhythm of breath. Feeling and sensing the stability of the ground beneath you. feeling the gesture, the mudra, and welcoming some of these qualities of the earth. Grounded, steady, solid, heavy. There's a sense of trust in that stability. There's an unconditional support from the earth beneath you, no matter what. It's always here, it's always available with that steady, solid grounding energy. And taking a moment to bring a sense of gratitude that you might have for Mother Earth herself. And welcoming sounds in the distance. And welcoming everything just as it is. And taking another deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's do one more breath like that. And then slowly fluttering the eyes open, releasing that mudra. And I'm here in Canada where it's about -5 today. You might hear the geese who are making their way south. I'm just going to put on my mittens. It's really important for Vata dosha and for Vata season to keep warm. So we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the other chikitsas therapies, healing modalities for these natural remedies that are thousands of years old, at least 6,000 years old, much older, but some of the most ancient texts come from around that time. And it's important to stay warm. This is one of the things. So especially the neck, the head, the feet, and the hands. So in Vata season, or if you are Vata dosha, it's really, really important to stay warm. The cold is one of the things that can aggravate our Vata dosha. And what I'd like to start with is just saying that this whole immersion that we've been doing is in Ayurveda called Rutucharya, which is this routine for the seasons. So there are different routines for different seasons and times of year. There are daily routines, nightly routines. There's a lot of routines, especially for Vata dosha. And this is one of the most potent medicines for soothing Vata dosha is consistency and routine, because Vata energy tends to be very chaotic, all over the place, swinging of a pendulum one side to the other, erratic, light, interrupted sleep is one of those types of symptoms. So Rutucharya, medicine or routine for the seasons. So this includes things like herbs, foods, habits, exercises, colors, aromas, yogic practices, And what we do with Vata dosha is really bring in this earth element. So the Vata is composed of air and space. And Ayurveda, one of the most beautiful things about it is the simplicity of working with the elements and the different sort of qualities of those elements. So we bring in medicines that are, for example, heavy, warming, because Vata is a very cold energy, oily and moisturizing, because Vata also dries us out. So anything that dries us out is going to make Vata a little bit more elevated. So one of the most amazing medicines for Vata dosha is a Ayurvedic practice called Abhyanga. Now, Abhyanga is an oiling and massaging of the body, and I want to share that this has been huge for me. So I have all sorts of oils and oiling my body in different parts of my body has been so calming and soothing for my Vata dosha and my nervous system. So the nervous system tends to get really heightened and elevated along with Vata. So these grounding, soothing practices like Abhyanga really help over time and consistency with routine to bring the Vata energy down and soothe us into things like easeful sleep and calm energy and consistency. So one of the things that I'd love to share is my dear friend and mentor and beloved teacher, Tiffany. She has this, some of you guys know all about this because I talk about these products often, but she has this product called Rasa Ayurveda. It's a whole line of products, but it's so much more than that. And I'm going to link to a bunch of her blog posts below. So I'll make mention of some of those blog posts as we continue to talk about Ayurveda. But one of the things is she has this beautiful Vata balancing Abhyanga oil. I'll just share it here. Vata Abhyanga oil. And it has some of the herbs that are soothing and calming for Vata dosha, including ashwagandha root oil and bala oil and jatamamsi oil, a whole bunch of other things. I'm going to link to a blog post that teaches you about these different herbs and why they're calming and soothing for Vata. So you can watch for that. You can look for that blog post below in the comments below this, in my blog post below this, and in the description of this video as well. So that'll be there for you. And also I teach Abhyanga, and in that blog post, it'll teach you how to do Abhyanga as well. But I also teach the whole process of how to practice Abhyanga in my course, The Winter Solstice Restoration, where we dive really, really deep into these Vata soothing processes. So I'll post a link to that below as well. So in terms of foods, I mentioned foods being one of the things. So sticking with foods that are sweet, sour, and salty is really helpful for Vata dosha, and avoiding bitters, astringents, pungents, anything too spicy. So one of my favorite things, and my husband, it drives him nuts because one of the most soothing things for Vata dosha is consistency and repetition. And that even goes for not having too much variety. So when my Vata is elevated, I will tend to eat the same thing each and every day at the same time. And it really, really helps. And one of my favorite things in Vata season is apple breakfast bakes with oats and cinnamon and things like that. And again, Tiffany and Rasa Ayurveda, her beautiful sharings that she's doing with the world, they have a really wonderful blog post about how to make a Vata season apple breakfast bake. So I'll link to that below. Also things like khichdi, I'll share a little bit about that in a little while. But yes, bringing in these consistent Vata soothing foods that are sweet, salty, herbs and teas. Actually, I'm going to share, they have also this Vata soothing tea. So I'll post a link to that and a blog post about that as well. But herbs that are really soothing for Vata are things like cumin, fennel, coriander, cinnamon, clove, tulsi. Some of you guys might know about tulsi or holy basil. And this can be really good for soothing Vata. One of the things that's not so good for Vata is caffeine and coffee. So if you think about it in terms of elevating Vata, there is this drying quality of coffee. It's dehydrating, and it can cause jitteriness, light sleep, all these different things that are very elevating for Vata dosha. So coffee and caffeine are not so great. However, if you're a coffee drinker and you don't want to switch to tea, they also have this beautiful Ayurvedic coffee that you can try. So I'll definitely post a link to that, or I think it might be in one of the blog posts that I'm going to share from their website. So I mentioned keeping warm, especially if you're in an area of the world like I am, where it's cold. Like I said, it's like -5 today. So especially the head, the neck, the fingers, the toes, and avoiding the wind and cold, or really bundling up if you need to go out into the wind and cold. In terms of exercise, I mentioned exercise is one of the things. Slow, calm, and repetitive. So routine and consistency are things that you want to bring in. Regular and repetitive timing, especially like throughout your day. So like if you look at your day, eating, sleeping, waking up, working on regular times, regular schedules can be really, really helpful for Vata, for bringing that Vata elevation down. So in terms of exercise, things like yoga, things that are, slow, repetitive, that aren't too heightening or elevating in terms of your energy, or like too all over the place in their consistency. Another thing, and one of the things, of course, is restorative yoga, which I'll talk about momentarily. But first I wanted to mention warm baths. Warm baths are really, really helpful, very soothing for Vata dosha, especially to do Abhyanga before, so that oiling of the body. And sesame seed is one of the most traditional warming oils that's used for this. And then going into a bath. So you might adorn your whole body in oil and then let that sink in for a half an hour or so, and then get into a nice warm bath. And that is one of the most amazing things that you can do for your Vata elevation if you're experiencing a Vata elevation. Daily and consistent meditation. Even if it's just 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, I'm actually going to link to, I have many 5-minute meditations on this channel. If you can try doing a 5-minute meditation each and every day at the same time, that is so soothing for Vata. Another one of the most potent medicines for Vata is Yoga Nidra. So I'll also link to some of the 10 and 15-minute Yoga Nidras that I have here on the channel. Those are so incredibly soothing, especially if you can bring them in every day at the same time. Very, very soothing for Vata dosha. And of course, I've just recently posted this Yoga Nidra specifically for Vata elevation. So all of the ones that say anything about like grounding or calming the nervous system, soothing the nervous system, those are all going to be great options for soothing Vata dosha. So I'll link to some of those, and remember, consistency is key. So if you can get 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes each day in a consistent way, that's very helpful. Pranayamas that are really helpful, Nadi Shodhana, which Tina guided on day 2, Brahmari Pranayama, which I guided in the Yoga Nidra on day 3. Anything that's calming. So there are other pranayamas that are very helpful, Dirga Pranayama, a light ujjayi pranayama, anything that's calming and soothing for the nervous system is very helpful for Vata. Warming, comforting, and calming aromas. So aromas that you might, if you're an essential oil lover, also sweet aromas can be really helpful for Vata dosha. So some really great ones are ginger, orange, spikenard, bergamot, clary sage, vetiver. Those are really grounding. Anything that makes you feel grounded. Rosewood, sweet things like that are also very calming, like lavender and bergamot together is a really nice one. So bringing those in is very helpful. Restorative yoga. So we explored restorative yoga on day 1 and on day 4. We also have our next 5-day immersion coming up in January, which is just 5 days of restorative yoga, of our moon to moon restorative yoga immersions. We've done one of those before. I'll post a link to that if you want to explore even deeper into restorative yoga. This is very soothing for Vata dosha. And also, I have the winter solstice restoration, where not only do I dive deep into everything that I'm talking about here, but there are like 12 and a growing library of Vata soothing restorative yoga practices and yoga nidras. So that's available for you if you'd like to sign up for that. It's called the winter solstice restoration because I do go through 12 days of lifestyle suggestions that you might bring in on those specific days of the solstice and different things like that. However, the practices are very much just available to practice over and over again all through Vata season. So that's now and a month prior to this leading into late winter. And of course, anytime. If you have Vata elevation, these practices would be helpful anytime. One of my favorites for soothing Vata is legs up the wall, which we of course go into in that course as well. Another thing we go into in the course is khichdi, which I mentioned, which is an Ayurvedic dish, and this is another thing I bring in when my Vata is elevated, like for lunch every day. So I'll make a big pot. I'm going to link a blog post to Tiffany's website where you can learn more about this particular dish and how to make it for yourself. And she even has Vata spice blends that you can get and just pour into your pot of khichdi. And it's vegan. It's very delicious. Love khichdi, and I should really make it more than I do. She also has Vata skincare. So I'm going to link to an article all about Vata skincare. Nasia, this is oil for the nose. This is really helpful during Vata season as well. So I'll link to that blog post all about Vata skincare, because Vata skin, if you're a Vata dosha, is different than other skin types. A couple more things. I mentioned the routine. So Dinacharya is the daily routine. I'm going to link to a blog post all about Dinacharya from Tiffany and Rasa Ayurveda, but know that we also dive into this in the winter solstice restoration. And one of the things that I've found really helpful is I would just bring one thing in at a time, and then I built from there. So my first consistent thing that I started doing every single day was lemon water with honey. And that's where I started. Just woke up in the morning, did my lemon water with honey, very ritualistic, very meditative, very soothing. And then that consistency, I started to add in more things. So the next thing I added in was tongue scraping, which I'm just going to show you. If you're not familiar, it's an Ayurvedic practice where you scrape the amma, the toxins, off the tongue in the morning. Again, it's very soothing when you bring it in as a practice, like a ritual, each and every morning. So I just slowly started to add from there more things as a way of a daily routine, a dinacharya. There's also a nightly routine. I'm sure she'll mention that in the blog post as well. And then one more thing I want to talk about is golden milk. So we talk all about this in the winter solstice restoration. Golden milk is full of Vata soothing herbs and spices. It's a warm, delicious drink. I like to bring it every day in Vata season, and my favorite is to just order from Rasa. By the way, I'm not like paid by them or anything. I just really love them. Just for full transparency about that. And yeah, one thing at a time, bringing that into that routine. This is something that I bring in Vata season as part of that routine. And one last thing that I'm going to link to is they've got this beautiful fall survival guide. So that will be very handy as well. So I really hope that you check out some of these blog posts. Again, I'm going to link them below in the comments, in the description of this video, and in the blog post, which will be the first link that you can find beneath this video. That'll take you to my blog, and then it'll have links to all of the other blog posts that I mentioned as well as links to join the Winter Solstice Restoration, links to join our next immersion, which will be a 5-day restorative yoga immersion. So those of you who are falling in love with restorative yoga, you can join that, and it's a free immersion again. Share it with your friends, invite people, and we've had some questions about our next Moon to Moon restorative yoga teacher training, which will be starting at the end of January. So that will be the next one. So submit your applications if you're hoping to join that. I'll post about that as well in the comments. We've had some beautiful applications so far, and we're excited to see what group comes together, what community, what Sangha comes together to explore restorative yoga in the new year as new restorative yoga teachers. One last little thing. I've had many people reaching out to me, asking me questions about the Costa Rica retreat. So we're very excited about it. There's lots of information for you in an information package. So I will link to that below as well. And that will be this year, 2022 is the year that it will happen, I should say. And it will happen March 5th to 12th. In the beautiful blue zone of the Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica. So if you would like to learn more about that, you will find more details below, and we would be absolutely thrilled to have you join. Okay, I think that is everything I've got for you today. Let me just take a look at my little bottles here. Oh, Vata facial elixir. That'll be talked about in the blog post. And I hope that you enjoyed this immersion. Please let me know if you learned something new. Please let me know if you have any questions, and thank you so much for joining us. We love sharing these medicines, natural medicines that can be very complementary to what we have available to us nowadays, which is also wonderful, all of the modern medicine. But these ancient medicines are also very powerful and work absolute wonders. So I hope that you find something that's helpful for you, and we love hearing from you, your questions, anything that you have to say or about the challenge in general. What was your favorite day? We'd love to hear about that. Okay, namaste, and I'll see you probably next week in my next Yoga Nidra recording. All right. Thank you for joining us. Namaste.